Hello, hello. Welcome back into the College Championships for League of Legends. I'm Mad Magical, joined in by Quacks in Game 1, Maryville. It was a bit hard fought there. We saw some moments of life from Winthrop, but all in all, Maryville still our top team for a reason. They take Game 1, are now one game ahead of Winthrop. Of course, this is a best of 5, so anything can happen in this one. You never know. But before we start talking about that game and also start highlighting what we see in the future, we do want to give a shout out to everyone who's making this stream possible. Thank you for everybody out there for helping out with the GoFundMe. You can see the link right there if you're able to. We do appreciate any and all help that we get because this allows us to bring these games to everybody's screens, allows us to be casting them as well so that they can be hyped up as much as they rightfully deserve to be. It has been amazing with everyone's support. And speaking of everyone's support, we even have our sponsors in Gen G, and we also have Ole Miss who have been making this possible. Honestly, huge contributors to this, and it is so cool to have these organizations help out with this in any way. Just the fact that we have sponsors like Gen G and Ole Miss who are willing to help out Collegiate League of Legends, I hope shows everyone how much it means to all viewers out there.
It means a lot to us, and it means a lot to the teams as well, Magical. And yeah, again, like you said, huge shout out to Genji, huge shout out to Ole Miss. Without them, this broadcast would not be possible, and also wouldn't be possible without the individual donations from everyone, as you can see on the header, I believe, between the games. But yeah, Game 1, like you said, was a overall dominant performance by Maryville. Winthrop, like you said, had some signs of life, but I really felt like it stemmed from the laning phase. It just felt like Maryville, right from the get-go, had just better understanding of lanes. Like, it genuinely did feel like
lane swaps, too. Yep. Denethor was so far behind on Renekton, and we have seen Denethor. He's been a 1v1 god in top lane, taking down some of the mightiest top laners in Collegiate. But when he's not able to get that opportunity, when he doesn't have that lane phase to begin with, we see that he does struggle, and I wonder if Winthrop have any answers. They're remaining on the blue side for Game 2. Ashe going to be the ban this time around. Don't want to have those long-range arrows connecting onto them. Scary Jerry, I think, only missed one of them, and that was only because Sword was really on point with looking out for that one, wasn't recalling without looking at the map.
And I'm thinking Winthrop are probably going to continue to target away those marksmen, right? Those heavy-hitting marksmen. I think the Tristana was something that really needs to be respected. And, you know, they're on blue side, so there is always the possibility of Winthrop are saying, hey, they piloted it. Maybe we can pilot it better. But I feel like that might be a bit of an unorthodox play from Winthrop that I personally wouldn't expect. But I will expect that Tristana to probably be taken away. Would be surprised if that doesn't happen. But Maryville, going to stick to their guns, going to ban away the Skarner, ban away the Jinx, and probably follow that up with, what did they ban last game? Probably potentially another AD carry ban, targeting those aggressive champions. Yeah,
it was Lucian as the last one here. So the bans have remained the same so far for Maryville. The difference we see from Winthrop is they have taken away Ashe as opposed to Varus this time around, and Maryville opting to leave Lucian alone because Varus, like I said, is open. Winthrop can grab that, but we know that Scary Jerry Zyko are more than confident playing something like the Lucian Nami bot lane into it. Try to really attack that back line, something that is immobile, but mobility not giving them the opportunity to do so. They grab that Lucian for themselves.
And so this does present Maryville with an opportunity. Maybe try and steal away that Nami and pair it up with something else, right? I feel like that always is a possibility. Kalista probably not going to see the Nami. But aggressive bot lane versus aggressive bot lane, maybe we'll see something like the Renata. I still think Kalista Renata is one of the best lane duos in the game. And I feel like I don't see enough supports play the Renata, which is kind of a shame because I think she's really strong.
I agree. I do expect it to be Kalista Renata in the spot lane for Maryville. They are a team that has been running it, and Zyko is more than confident playing that kind of champion, but they don't need to grab it yet. You know that's probably not going to be a Lucian Renata. It's the Lucian Nami that we typically see. Having that in the spot lane for Winthrop, it is something that can really attack Kalista early into the game, really try to make use of the fact that she needs a little bit more attack speed in order to have that full mobility, the full range of motion. So they do have these ways to attack there. And then Denethor actually taking Cassante in this game. Of course, it could be for Sword. We still have seen that flexibility out of Cassante, but more than likely will be this top lane Denethor that he gets to play, especially because we're expecting, with how Maryville have been playing, that they might look for those lane swaps once more.
For sure. And Renata locked in here, like we predicted. It is going to be paired up with the Kalista. So a lot of emphasis being put on this bot lane, right? A lot of jungle attention probably going to be put on this bot lane as well, which kind of makes me think that we might see the return of this Taliyah in the jungle, right? Having that Weaver's Wall to immediately transfer over to that bot lane is always useful, and to just kind of cut off any escape routes that Mobility and Chookies might go for. I think that could be really useful, as we're going to see the Tristana banned away in preparation for that. So I think Winthrop are fully expecting this to be the return of Taliyah jungle. And I wonder if they're going to try and go for another aggressive pick to try and hamper the weak points of this Taliyah, notably that early game.
And I like some of these bans that we've seen so far from Maryville. Xin Zhao really targeting out Wakao, Trickster on the other side. Same with the Maokai ban. Just something that has really easy point and click, get in the back line. Also really good disengage, re-engage with the Nature's Grass, throwing out the roots. But Zach actually going to be the final ban here by Winthrop. Something that can both target UG and Niles. We have seen so much of the Zach top lane do really well, especially if you are going to go for that weak side lane swap. So not letting him have that. Oh, man. I was looking at the Poppy. I was thinking the Poppy for Winthrop. Maryville reading that perfectly, saying, hey, the one thing that could really hurt us at this point is if Poppy goes onto the other side. You know what also struggles into Poppy? Lucian. Something that wants to dash around a lot of these fights, that is now going to have a hard time doing so. Same with Cassante, and then Sword back onto this Orianna. I'm looking at what they can get for Wakao here. They need a ball delivery service because Cassante just ain't going to cut it. Volibear, actually a pretty good one on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at that Poppy. I want to go back to that a moment. I was thinking maybe that could be a good response from Winthrop as well, right? You have the Kalista, so being able to kind of limit that as well, because we've put so much emphasis on this bot lane, that could be really good. But it's a tried and true counter to Cassante, and it's going to be going in the top lane, as Vi is going to be the response from Yuji here. So that is actually going to be a Taliyah mid. So, you know, having that cease and desist is still really good for the bot lane, but it does kind of, I feel, put Wakao on a timer to go for this bot lane a little bit more aggressively pre-6 until that's available for Maryville to really use.
Yeah, see, the thing is from Maryville, they have really good reads of what champions they kind of need for what they plan, because I'm expecting them to go for a lane swap again. They don't want to have Kalista Renata up against Lucian Nami early game. It's not going to be fun. You're going to struggle into that. They're going to poke you out a lot. Like I said, you kind of need some of that early attack speed, or even just the early lethality so you can get enough burst onto Lucian. And you're going to lack that in the lane phase. That's why Lucian Nami has been kind of that classic pick into the Renata and Kalista, just because you know you can bully them. So I'm looking at why they picked this Poppy for Maryville. And I don't know how much you remember of like past metas going back to when we used to see lane swaps all the time. Poppy, Maokai, Nautilus top were the things because they're okay with sacrificing some levels, sacrificing some gold. They're still going to scale well. They're still going to be tanks. They still have great tools to split up these fights. And for me, this composition screams that Maryville want to have that lane swap.
Absolutely. I mean, you don't need gold into Poppy, right? All you need is for it to get into the middle of the fight, for it to stop any of those dashes and all of that mobility, and that's just about it, right? Basically, it's good all around, even without gold. I think Poppy is one of the most econ-friendly champions in the entire game, where it can be incredibly poor, incredibly broke. It can be on the streets and still find its way in the place of its team. So yeah, I like a lane swap idea here from Maryville. I think you're right, Magical, that certainly is a likely possibility. But we're going to have to see if we're right as we do hop into the game. Game 2 between Maryville and Winthrop now commencing.
Maryville up 1-0 to Winthrop at the moment. They remain on the same sides. We do see quite a change in what both teams have decided to draft, as well as where they're playing champions. Each team have a champion that they played in the last game, but only one player staying on the same champion, being that Orianna for Sword. Not UG on to the Taliyah this time around. Instead, on to Vi, having that Taliyah as well. I honestly really do like what Maryville have drafted for themselves here, with both the Taliyah, with that Poppy as well in the top lane, because any dashes that you have here at a Denethor and Mobility now have two means that are going to really hurt them, that they're going to struggle in getting into this backline to do any damage on. And that's why I think Wakao onto this Volibear has been a good pickup for themselves, because it's not something that dashes. His jump can't be interrupted. He's running at you with Rolling Thunder. Makes it a lot easier to attack this backline. But we see that actually was Winthrop thinking, as I was thinking as you were thinking, that they were going to go for the lane swap, but instead They went for the standard lanes. They decided to put Niles there, saying, hey, they're probably expecting this one. It's the rock, paper, scissors. Do you understand we're going for this or not? And now it's a delayed return to the top lane from the lane swap. But I like this from Mobility and Chookies. They keep in the top lane, say, you know what? We might as well fully commit.
So no action probably going to be present in the bot lane as the top laners are there. You can see both junglers starting on the bot side as well, so they will end up top. I wonder if we're going to see some 3v3 action. Those grubs are going to be incredibly important because both teams have a lot of ability to get those plates.
Early cleanse already used to get rid of the handshake, get rid of any not handshake, the ignite. But that's a lot of damage onto Mobility. And the fact that now there's going to be this rush. Who gets level 2 first, Maryville or Winthrop spot lane and top lane?
For sure, and whoever gets it first is going to try and go as aggressive as possible, as it looks like it's Winthrop. Yup, look at the aggression.
I would have expected them to get it. They were already in the lane. They got a little bit more experience than that of Scary Jerry and Zyko, but you could see that Scary Jerry and Zyko were hoping that maybe they could get it. Maybe they could force that fight earlier on their own hands, but unfortunately, just not the case. Not against Illusion Nami early into the game and having to use that heal. So it's going to be 2 sums down for Maryville, only the 1 for Winthrop.
And, you know, going against, yeah, I mean, all this chunk has resulted in potentially a dive.
Yeah, they definitely can. Yeah. It's a Volibear. Look at where Yuji is. He's pathing immediately toward the top lane.
But the wave is going to crash. I have to be here.
It's going to crash. They see the Volibear. They know Yuji's got to be on the other side. That's a TP. The flash away for Scary Jerry. But the meeting of heads in the jungle at the tri-bush, Rakao and Yuji find each other. Niles nearby wants to get the heroic charge. The flash away. Guess who's also here? All 5 members of Spirax says hello and goodbye. First blood for Scary Jerry.
Zyko, amazing handshake there. Manages to find Woko after the flash. Has no way of really getting out. But hang on, Mobility. He's utilizing Fog of War.
I like this. Going for it. Say, hey, no greedy backs there. You die for shopping in front of my face.
Absolutely. Scary Jerry browsing the Amazon shop from Boris, but gets punished for it. As that is a great kill to have for Winthrop early on in this game. You want these kills going onto this Lucian. You want the red buff going onto Lucian as much as kill Zyko.
Is it enough? No.
No.
9 HP. 9 HP.
Holy moly, Zyko. Breathing a sigh of relief for that, but yeah, that just comes to the power. Already, level 3 will get the Kerchi shard, so a huge influx of gold, a huge influx of power making its way onto Mobility exactly where you want it to be. And I think Maryville, they have got to go for something. They have got to try and find a way to put Mobility behind, but there aren't any objectives up yet. We still have Dragon coming up in about 30 seconds, but I don't think that that's going to be the target for Maryville right out of the gate. I think it's going to have to be those grubs, and you're going to have to set up for those, just establishing vision around that area.
So that play, that looked so good from Maryville, the TP top lane for Niles completely thwarted by Mobility and Chookies. The fact that they survived, honestly, is what saved them. It's great that your Volibear died there to first blood because you don't need him in the top lane. You want the Lucian Nami, the power point that you have, and now Scary Jerry getting caught for going for a ward clear right in the face again of Winthrop, saying, don't you dare disrespect us just because you had the lane swap.
Wokao just coming up out of nowhere and getting on to Scary Jerry. No flash, no heal up. And already it kind of feels like that early play that Maryville, you know, got on to Winthrop, that early kill that Scary Jerry managed to acquire. That is just completely void at this point, as we have one Scary Lucian on the horizon. But I do like the trade back that they are going for. They saw Wokao on the top side, so they're just going to immediately go for dragons. This is one of Vi's biggest strengths, is that she can take dragons and objectives really early on with those passive procs.
This is kind of always the backup plan that Maryville tend to have. Is that if something happens in late phase that they weren't calculating, they weren't ready for, falling behind here when they were the ones to make that first play, they go, okay, what is plan B, what's plan C, and what's plan D? Plan B has always been Yuji finding control of the river and these neutral objectives. Plan C is play for the skirmishes and some of the early fights to split it up. Plan D is full-on team fights. And now the flash in, Shockwave pulling back Scary Jerry, Bubble barely going wide. It was a nice handshake, but they could go for the side with a lot of damage on Scary Jerry. Burning down, but the survives. Command attack just shy of the target.
Plan A for Winthrop at the moment, though, is kill Scary Jerry at all costs.
I think that's
And,
plan A, B, C, D, and all the way to Z. Kill Scary Jerry and never let this Callista get off the ground.
And the letters are numbered 1 through 10, so A1 through 10, B through 10, and it seems like they're doing pretty good so far. They don't kill him.
Mobility realizes that there's going to be that play on the other side. Just trying to see if he can get the kill
Oh,
on Zyko,
what?
but tanking up the turret, not landing that W. Means that it's gold for Spyrex.
Close but no cigar. They get the kill onto Mobility, so they'll get a little bit of push here in the top lane, and I wonder if they're just going to go for the grubs. This will be a really good plan here, because now, not only do they get the dragon, but they get the first 3. This would also be good to take away from Winthrop, right? Because Mobility has been super strong in this lane. They have been pushing up the bot lane of Maryville to their tower and taking some of these plates, and so denying these away from the Lucian, crucially, certainly puts Maryville, or Winthrop, in a bit of a precarious spot, not being able to accelerate that Lucian as much as they would like to.
Like I said, this is plan B for Maryville. UG taking out any of these neutral objectives and not letting a single one go to Winthrop. The fact that the play worked out so well in the top lane was just kind of the icing on the cake. They really just wanted to get rid of them from that top lane. Give them a window to look for that play, but having a kill that is picked up, the gold going over to Spyrex too, this is really the boon that Maryville were looking for, much more so than just getting the neutral objectives.
And you could see after he took those grubs, cease and desist. Level 6 was dinged by UG, so if a 3v3 were to happen here, a pretty big advantage, I would say, comes over to Maryville, but we do also have the culling from Mobility.
Handshake hits the minion, barely not connecting onto Mobility. Culling, getting a lot of damage. Bubble landing! Scary Jerry's out of there! That flash did nothing to help you out! They do have the other side with UG, but he's saying, no way. We don't have this play, even though Spyrex was also looking to rotate top lane. No Weaver's Wall for that mid laner, so not going to have that way to cut off the retreat, so they can go for the dive instead. Handshake not stopping Winthrop as they get another kill for Mobility.
I mean, Zyko just completely abandoned there. UG cut off from being able to help him out. So he is going to look for avenues to try and assist his team elsewhere. Has the cease and desist, potentially looking for a dive in mid of all places.
Shockwave, if he wants to, could hold on to that seismic shove right onto the pebbles. Shockwave underneath the turret, lots of damage, but kiting it back because Spyrex was tanking up the turret the whole time.
Well played cross-map play there by Maryville University. Allows to juice up this Talia for a little bit, and we haven't paid a bunch of attention to Spyrex, which is kind of the opposite of what we saw in game number 1, right? Spyrex was certainly the star of the show on that Tristana, and on this Talia, he's taken a little bit more of a backseat in favor of all the action that's been happening top lane. But he is slowly scaling up. You can see that Archangel's acquired. So once this Talia does hit, does hit 2 to 3 items, Mobility, despite being 3-1, definitely has to pay respects to that pick.
Remember what I said, there's the plan C and D here for Maryville. Plan B is always UG getting the neutral objectives. But when it comes to plan C and D, it usually is off the back of the successes Spyrex finds for himself. That he is getting these good ways. Look, like, we're not even counting that dive there from UG. Just look at the CS differential. It was already 30 beforehand. That dive just meant they got the kill for UG instead. They got a little bit extra gold. They already have this massive lead that Spyrex is getting over toward, keeping him pinned under that turret. While at bot lane, we are seeing that Niles getting attacked. Denethor had the Natofu strikes, but looking for Scary Jerry, the heal, to try to help out with Cow get away. Has that ult if they want to re-engage, but the fact that Zyko's on the other side, they're spotted out on a ward. 2v3. Oh, it's actually, sorry, what am I saying? Zyko is still pathing through the jungle, but he will be spotted out as he makes his way down.
And you can see all the members of both teams kind of grouping up around this bot side. They want to go for this dragon. Maryville wanting to stack these, like you said, this was their plan B. And Winthrop, they want to try and thwart that plan at every available opportunity, right? They are sending their bot lane into the mid lane so that they can get that push up and so that they can just immediately rotate down.
But I like this from Winthrop. The fact that they are going to get this dragon, denying the neutral objective take for UG again, realizing that they've already lost on the first 2. And if they lose on this 3rd, what hope do they have? Because then you're already losing out where you put your bot lane, the power point, 3-1 static Shiv Lucian. You should be taking the neutral objectives on whatever side he is on. And they can even look for a little bit of an invade because they saw that there's the Poppy top lane. They see that Spyrex is mid lane without that TP, so they could attack the jungle momentarily.
Attention from both teams shifting up toward the top lane now because those grubs are going to be the next target, and they're willing to do whatever they can.
We've seen this before. Going to go for the sombrero to try to bring back in Niles. Kiting it back, but pulled right back in for a kill for UG.
But Yuji, he's walking into the members of Winthrop who are looking for blood potentially. Chookies does
do they have
the
enough
title
damage
wave.
though? That's the only big thing.
Yeah.
Do they have enough to get onto Niles? Look at the damage coming in from Yuji with a cease and desist right on top of Shookie's title wave, but it's nicely kited back by Yuji. You didn't see it, but he flashed over that.
Beautiful engage there by Yuji, completely split up the two members of Winthrop who thought that they had the fight, and no jungler alive, no support alive, no vision in the top side means it is all 6 grubs here for Maryville. And with those, it is potentially going to give Scary Jerry and, you know, some of the struggling members of Maryville in this bot side a way back into this game. But I mean, on the other hand, you have plenty of healthy members of Maryville who are just quietly running over the side of Winthrop.
All right, so scrap plan C and D. You don't need them anymore. They're done. You got Yuji. Yuji is your big thing. This is why we call him the Mongolian monster. This guy, I love his story because back when he played it, when he was in Mongolia, he played on 3 different servers. He played on the Chinese Super server, he played on the Korean server, and he played on NA. And guess what he did on all 3 of them? He got to Challenger on all 3 of them with 100 to 300 ping, depending on which server he was on. This guy is a monster for a reason. I have been screaming at everyone saying, Yuji is so damn good. Please pick him up because we're seeing it right now, and we see it consistently throughout this 2024 season.
For sure. And I mean, Yuji, it's a tough life for a jungler in Tier 2 and Tier 3, right? A lot of people have said that jungle is probably the strongest role that NA has to offer. And so, you know, players like Yuji, not only do they prove that point right, but it also is kind of hard to carve yourself out in a role like this, right? That is considered the strongest in the region. But I feel like Yuji has done all of that and more with performances like this. We see him play so many different kinds of champions, so many different kinds of styles. He really is a jack of all trades, and it feels like he's a master of most of those.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's a jack of all trade, actually a master of all, too. He's so good on so many of these. Right now, Wakao getting chased down. They got the seismic shove, and then the cease and desist on the sword. The wombo combo. You can't escape from that. Too much bouncy castle, then looking for the turn as Wakao does flash away. It's all because we're about to see this Rift Herald play. The bot lane of Winthrop, their power point, is in the top side of the map. But with 4 members ready to go for this fight around Rift Herald, I feel like Winthrop don't have what it takes to actually defend it.
And this is the difficulty that we were talking about in draft, right? Despite mobility being, you know, the power point of Winthrop in this game, there are so many tools that Maryville have built into their champions to just be able to stomp on him and get to him immediately. So mobility is really going to have to be the one we keep our eyes on in this fight as we potentially have a fight brewing up here.
All 5 are here. That's going to be a TP from Denethor as well. Everyone's looking for the battle, looking for the fight. But they don't have a good position for Winthrop. All 5 members are ready to attack for Winthrop, getting a little bit of damage. Now that everyone's here, slow on to Shelly, who gets the credit. The eye has been popped. That's going to be Keeper's verdict, connecting onto None. It was denied there by Denethor, so they're going to get the dash back in. Yuji might be the first casualty. Tidal Wave, he gets the bailout. They get the kill. Goalie not doing enough damage. Maryville find a way to fight this one. Get out of there alive, or can they? Because they still want the fight. They got Denethor pretty low, and they are looking for sword with the re-engage from Zyko getting the knockup. But look at Niles. He is low. So many members of Maryville are low. They flashed away from the shockwave. Actually, it wasn't there yet. It was just a command attack. Now Niles stuck in the pit. Might have to flash away. Bubble going wide. But that's going to be the seismic shove. And the re-engage! Killing spree for Spyrex. The power Maryville now realize that is lost by Winthrop. That's the wall to cut off the retreats. Dashing for sword, but the pebble's not enough. It's a shutdown for sword with the chase down from Scary Jerry. Split up fight. But even though looked hopeful for Winthrop, Maryville chasing them away. One more on attack. The dash from Denethor, but he's going into the alcove, biding his time, hoping that he can waste the time of Maryville, because he knows that his time is going to be soon over. One run from Scary Jerry ends the fight.
Maryville come up big in the fight, but Niles, holding his flash, doesn't go over the Baron pit, holds on to that, and just allows his team to re-engage. They knew they had it. Just beautiful recognition from him all around. They get mobility. They win the fight. But they're going to have to continue to put their foot on the gas, maybe try and stop this dragon take from Wakao as they spot him.
They have to. Like, he doesn't have ult, he doesn't have flash. That's a squishy ball bear at this point, and they can easily attack that for unstoppable Yuji. Keep in mind, Yuji somehow survived through all that all. I thought he was going to die so many times. He had gotten out of there, then re-engaged with Niles to keep the fight going, to find those picks, and now they're the ones who capitalize with another neutral objective.
They get their second dragon of the game. But yeah, the bailout from that first fight by Zyko, that was a surprise. I'm with you on that, Magical. I thought UG was dead for sure. I thought the engage from Maryville was completely scuffed, but they continue the fight for so long. They rebound, they come back, and they win it all. They don't get the Herald, though.
Who cares?
So I'm wondering.
Who cares? You don't care.
At this point, I mean, this is potentially something that Winthrop can go for, but it just feels so hard with all the push. It's like, oh.
Yeah, well, this is actually going to be big. Getting this kill onto Zyko at least gives them that time. They have that Rift Herald, as you were talking about. They could pot that in any one of these 3 lanes. I would hope that they would hold on to it for that the next dragon fight, but we'll see. We'll see if they want to get that gold now or later.
I feel like it might have to be an immediacy thing, you know, because
exactly.
you do have... I feel like, though, you know, we want to see mobility get indexed into a lot in this game, and Lucian's time, you know, as this big power pick, as this big bully is short, he definitely has more of an early game than a late game, as we'll see right here.
No flash. He gets finally flashed, but right onto the seismic shove. Spyrex, beautifully played.
No way for mobility to get out of that. He commits the flash, but there's just no possible way to avoid the cease and desist, to avoid the worked ground, and Maryville pick that one up. They pick a turret up as well, and they might get more.
They have 6 grubs, so they have good ways of diving these turrets. Denethor has popped that ghost to look for Yuji, but they kind of realize that with Niall still in this top lane, he had been pushing this entire time, it would be risky. Denethor is continuing. Maybe they can get this pick onto Yuji, and that could be huge for them on the play. There's only 18 minutes into the game. They're not going to gain much. They get the pull back in, jump on top of the all-line, actually not used right, because they already had lost out on everything.
And Wokow, I love that. He was in his Q form. He was barreling down. The sirens were running. He immediately gets ejected out of the fight by Niles, and you can just see him off the corner of your screen get completely yeeted away. But that is a kill. They managed to get onto Denethor, and Wokow found in his own jungle. They actually don't go for this one. I felt like Wokow could have potentially gotten picked off on there.
Yeah.
But
also, I will say it was a little unlucky there from Winthrop, because Denethor's all out pulled away Yuji from Wakow's Stormbringer. Because they had the ult, that damage would have done, because he was right in the center, that would have been great. Then the stun immediately afterwards, they would have been able to burst down Yuji, possibly could have found a fight afterwards. But it was one of those things where they make the play at pretty much the same time. They both have the same call, and it's sad that it didn't work out too well, and now they're finding themselves further and further behind position to the back line again with a bubble landing, but does it help out? Tidal Wave to try to cut off the answer on to mobility, cutting back the best they can. Denethor actually saving the day, Coling doing a lot of damage. Bubble again landing, but it's only onto Zyko. They needed that onto Yuji, while Wakao was not able to get into the pit nor look for the fight because they got a lot of damage onto Denethor, burning down. Spyrex getting the kill. Bubble does land, but do they want to look for the shockwave? Yes, pulling 2 members in, but not enough damage. Seismic Shove barely going wide on a sword. Only a little bit of damage and 1 casualty, but that's enough for Maryville.
And they're forced to drop the Herald now. I believe the timer expired.
Yes.
So that is just going to be dropped. Yeah, it was about to expire. That gets dropped. Maryville probably going to be able to catch that one, but Winthrop, they're going to try and escort this into the mid lane turret nonetheless, but I feel like these efforts are all 11, for naught.
10 seconds until Denethor can TP into this fight. That is going to be the charge, but not getting enough damage onto the turret, nor do they get the comeback gold. Instead, it's going to be Scary Jerry looking for the flash away. Kites out against Wakao. Wanted that Ren. They try to re-engage. Weaver's wall has been put up. Mobility on the wrong side of it. Doesn't have a way out. 2 kills again for Maryville, right as the purple worm has spawned onto the rift. Denethor has TP'd in. There are a couple low health bars, but I don't know if you want to look for this one, especially because that bailout is huge for Zyko.
And especially because you can see Niles on the other side of the map just pushing over in your bot lane. You have to try and send someone to stop him. But they are just so concerned about this Baron take that they're sticking around the map. They're trying to get any kind of vision that they can. As you can see, Sword is going to be the one to pick up this wave. Niles has stopped his advance in the bot lane. And I would expect with all these resets coming through for Maryville, they're going to group up and just go for this Baron. And Winthrop, they have to hope and pray that they can win this next fight.
But Denethor having used TP to get towards the side of the map just to make sure there wasn't a further attempt on this Baron by Maryville now means that you are in a catch-22 as Winthrop. You have to keep Denethor here, but you want him in the east side lane. You need to try to stop what Maryville are doing, but that means that you're no longer having Denethor, your big front line, to absorb a lot of this damage there. Someone who could pull out Spyrex or Scary Jerry from the fight. He's gone, and look at how much damage he's already taken from Spyrex. He took the turret, but these pebbles are no longer pebbles. They are full-on boulders getting chucked into this face.
Those are meteorites, I feel, as Denethor not only forced to run away, but burn the ghost as well to get away from Spyrex. I think if Spyrex really wanted to go in for the kill, he easily could have gotten Denethor.
I think it was a proper call, though, because he didn't know exactly where Wakao was, so I respect that. A little bit of patience there from Spyrex, having kind of learned his lesson from game 1, that he can get punished pretty well by Winthrop. They're so used to having just stomped their competition before in this CLOL tournament so far that they have to give respect over to Winthrop, because this is not a team that you can just idly win by. They are going to be a team that will go toe-to-toe to you if you give them enough legroom.
You have to be active. You have to put your foot on the gas at all times, and Maryville are doing just that as they look to transition from one objective to another.
You're there. Not going to get the Assault Breaker to land, though. They're getting a lot of damage with the Colin connecting onto Niles, but he's a big frontline. Stormbringer away. Woo, they used the Keeper's Verdict. It already had been used to get the knockup.
Spyrex!
Wait, Spyrex gets the solo bolo against Sword. No, this is dare for the side of Winthrop, because they don't have a way to fight without that Shockwave.
No Shockwave available, Sword goes down, and now with all the vision established around this side of the map, Maryville, they're just gonna turn directly on to the Baron. Wakao, no flash, no Stormbringer, has no easy way to get into the pit, but they're contesting this nonetheless.
They have to. You can't let this go. You have to get something back for the team. Denethor taking a lot of damage from Spyrex, and look at this landing every time, doing so much damage to Winthrop members. Wakao has no Stormbringer, no flash. How do you get into the pit? How do you get past Spyrex? He is gargantuan here on Talia. He's built up a wall without even having a wall, because it's all these rocks, making sure that Maryville secure the objective, takes away the members of Winthrop.
And Winthrop have to get the hell out of Dodge as Maryville pick up the Gen G Baron buff. And 5 members strong. They have TP from both solo laners, so they can easily set up for a 1-3-1 if they want to. Weaver's Wall about halfway off cooldown, so that immediate ability to transition into a fight if there is one, not quite available, so I wonder if that's going to deter any of Maryville's plans, but they are set up nicely to be able to punish and pressure Winthrop at their base.
Spyrex, Yuji, the 2 members that were part of FlyQuest Challengers last year and the year before. They struggled back in 2022 when they first joined the team, but after that first split, they had looked so confident with one another. And you can see that continue. They still have this energy. Even if Spyrex has died once, they're both 7 kills, 8 assists in this 18-kill game for Maryville.
For sure, and it's that trust, it's that confidence that is making them so dominant. You know, a lot of people talk about, you know, the famous mid-jungle duos here in CLOL, but I really feel like Yuji Spyrex are the king of mid-jungle duo, and we've seen that time and time again.
Right there, looking for Denethor, all out trying to get onto Spyrex, but unfortunately goes the wrong way, so Scary Jerry's killing spree is secured, and Wakao has no way to go. Has to flash just to escape. Sword taking up a lot of damage. Yuji too, but now that Niles is there, they got the front line, they got the minions already collapsing. Keeper's Verdict, who does it tag? They just needed to get on one member. He's actually going to cancel it instead, looking to open up the base of Winthrop.
6 grubs. Look at how quickly they take these objectives. Winthrop, they're down a man. They can't respond.
Shockwave, but no damage from Winthrop. They got the Shockwave onto the back line, but when you're so far behind, it does nothing to deter Maryville going up to 2-0 in this series. They don't want to lose a single game in CLOL. They're showing everybody why they have been touted as the best roster ever put together in Collegiate by getting up 2 kills already against Winthrop. We're getting pulled out of their base for more gold, more kills to pad the KDA of Maryville. They even want to let the minions end this game. That's how confident they are.
Maryville, you know, if there were some doubts going into game 1, people were saying, hey, maybe there's some rust that Winthrop can look to spread around this bullet train that is Maryville. Maryville put all of those concerns to rest in game number 2. Clean from end to end, from start to finish. It was in their favor, and it felt like Maryville could just do nothing about it.
And that game just screamed a game that we saw in NACL from Maryville. How they were looking to play around that game, how they made sure that they got the lanes ahead, and even if there were certain windows that could have been played by Winthrop, how do you close those gaps? How do you deny Winthrop from actually properly utilizing the advantages they had gotten for Lucian, gotten for mobility, And every time that they answered, there was nothing in kind reciprocated by Winthrop because they just didn't have any other issues, any results.
For sure. And I mean, Winthrop, for not for lack of trying, it felt like there were plenty of plays that they tried to make, plenty of proactive moves around the map that they attempted to go for. Wokow in particular was looking for a lot of those deep runs in particular, getting that flank on to Scary Jerry, managing to get that early kill and set mobility up early was a nice start for Winthrop and something they could have maybe played through. But at the end of the day, Maryville, playing to what their strengths are, playing to that mid-jungle duo in Yuji and Spyrax, just shut everything else out of the game. It felt like nothing else mattered and nothing really Winthrop could do to change the trajectory.
Like I said, it's like there was that window for mobility. They got Scary Jerry behind, but at this point, you said ban away that Tristana. I think ban away the Talia. More flexibility that gives to the draft of Maryville. Both Yuji and Spyrax have played that amazingly in the past, and in this series, there is no way you can really deal with that. It's one of those bans, too, that you kind of feel bad because there are answers into Talia normally, but the fact that Maryville can easily swap that between jungle and mid lane so fluidly, I think it has to get banned. But we are going to toss it to a break. We have a cool little content dating show program that's scheduled for you guys as we get ready for Game 3.